Darling, I am so excited to share this one with you. This is a journal that I made in one go. Now, I say in one go, I mean between naps and like all around the whims of my 6-month-old. Before I got pregnant, I used to whip out an art journal in one sitting, and I used to love it. And I know my sweet friend Essie Ruth, she recently shared a YouTube video with her doing an art journal in one sitting, and I loved the idea, so I thought I would make something similar. So while it's not technically one sitting because there were interruptions for nursing and for nap time and all of that, it is more or less one sitting. And I think the reason that Essie and I can make these journals in one sitting is because we keep things really, really simple and we don't fuss about it too much. The really great thing about making an art journal in one sitting, or with focus, is that you can make an entire journal fit the same theme. If you're using all the same ingredients, like the same papers and the same colors, it's going to look very consistent, and it really looks, it looks nice. Well, I like it compared to when I use my moleskins. They just have a different vibe. My moleskins, every page is different, and I feel like I'm always trying out new styles. But with something like this, it's a few pages, it's wham bam, it's done, and then it looks kind of like an actual book, Does that make sense? Maybe I'm being ridiculous. Okay. Well, the journal that I'm using is a catalogue. I think it's Someday. I don't know. I don't know the clothing brand, but I found it when I was shopping sometime, and I've hoarded this for like a year. I waited for the perfect moment, and as you know, those perfect moments don't come, so I just took it out and started doing something. At the moment, I'm really, really, really in love with that minty color, so I just brought out that paint. I brought out a few tissue sheets because I wanted it to have a soft look. The whole brochure is kind of soft. You can see there it's very minimalist, very beautiful, and I wanted to continue with that. So now I am just using gesso just to mute these images because they are quite loud compared to the other ones. What's nice with gesso is that if you use a scraper like that, it dries very quickly, which is great when you're doing it all in one go and when you don't have much time. And throughout this video you will see I got page through it again and again, and I think I do that kind of to get a feel about the whole rather than just the page. Does that make sense? So I'm trying to get it all looking similar so that when you page through it looks like one piece rather than something that's separate. Over here I am trying to mute those words. I wanted to say beauty is the mind. It's not really working with the gesso because the gesso is too light. The other issue is that this page does not take wet mediums very well, but I don't mind a bit of crinkle. And I'm bringing out my mint green alphas, and I am covering this up a bit, and I'm just going to change what it says a little bit. I'm changing it to beauty is the rested mind. And while I'm making this journal, I'm feeling a lot of feelings about how having a baby has completely changed besides everything, it just completely changed the way I'm able to do things, I'm not able to think things through anymore because I simply don't have the time to think about them. And I very much value this, so I was struggling a bit with it, and I wrote that all down, and then the page felt very, very busy to me, so I'm trying to just soften it with a bit of tissue paper. And I'm using Prit to glue it down just to cover that a bit. And I'm trimming it. And my fingers are still sticky from the print, obviously. So that's just getting everywhere and it is falling apart. But this still does not feel very quiet to me, so I'm going to take these alpha stickers off. And I didn't wait for the gesso to dry, so everything is like all over everything. And I'm going to cover this with plain white. And that looks a lot less busy to me. In the end, this page is actually my least favorite of the book. And I often find that when I do a journal, you know, in one go, I find that in the beginning, I make kind of average things for me. I don't really enjoy what I make, but it needs to come out. And I have to always push through that, and you can see like this isn't a very pretty page, and I'm trying to figure out what I can do to make it better. I mean, a flower will always make things better, so that's kind of cheating for me. But you know, then I thought, okay, let's just leave it. We can come back to it, or we can leave it as kind of not a happy page. This one I'm just blacking out the words that I don't need. And I keep making the words that I don't need bigger and bigger as we go along. Updating that to all you need is. You can see I don't do the pages one by one. I tend to like figure around in there and see which one speaks to me at that time. And it's quite weird at different times. Different things will speak to me. I'm seeing if I can incorporate this tissue paper with him. And she's not working with it, so I'm seeing if someone else would work with it. I do not like that. I'm tearing it out. I don't like that one either. Just gonna tear it out. And this girl is getting gessoed as well. I'm trying to see if I can use this typewritten postcard anyway, but it's not really working. This tissue paper I love, but you know, this little bit in between there is really distracting me, so I'm going to just clean it up with some washi tape. Usually when I tear out pages, you like, it doesn't usually have that extra bit, but this is a found catalogue, so. And I am finding some more things. This is not enough for me, what I've got out there. Let me check my stash. And I'm bringing out things that might work. That won't work. That is a beautiful vintage sewing thing from Vanessa, but it's not going to work here. And, oh, yeah. I like that. These are pictures from Serial magazine. And now you can see I'm bringing into this journal an extra element, which is the forest. And it works very well with the mint greens and with that other tissue paper with the black and white and with the mint and black kind of forest tissue paper. And that back's pretty too, but he needs to be glued over. I have a course called the Minimalist Art Journal, and in there I speak a lot about how to make the pages quote unquote quieter. And one of the things that really makes a page busy is a face, because faces are like really detailed. There's so much to them, and a very quick way, if you've got a picture of a woman, you just cover her face, which is it seems quite rude, but you know, this is art. And I quite like this circle technique. I'm terrible at punching it, but I really like these little circles. And I'm bringing in some pink. You know, I can't just do mint. I feel like everything I do has gold and pink in it. And every now and then it's got some mint. So I've got, like, I'm living kind of a color scheme in my life. That gold is from Vanessa, so it's also really special to me. So it's special that I'm using this catalogue that I've been hoarding, along with that metallic gold paper that Vanessa gave, that I've also been hoarding. And I'm not a hoarder, you know, like, I like to use things, but every now and then something really, really special comes around. And I'm adding this as well, these punched out forests. And that, again, is just continuing with the consistency of the whole journal. And that's the benefit to doing it all in once. And I'm doing a lot of thinking. Making circles with doilies. I think that's another thing that I overuse. I overuse everything that I love. You know how people go through phases? I think that my eternal phase is gold, doilies, pink, flowers. Oh, and sets of 3. I like things in 3s. And I'm whipping out the scrapbook paper so that I can get some solid pinks in there. Tissue paper does not work well with punches. No, not even a little bit. I really like this technique with the holes. I think I'm going to do it more often. Remember I said I'm going to be paging and flipping through this a lot? Yep, there we go. And one of the pages that I tore out had some really nice writing. So I'm going to take that and I'm going to put it, guess where, over her face. And there's nothing else really with those words that I want to say, so I'm going to make it into a circle. And I'm going to take this page that I gessoed, then tore out, and I'm going to turn her into a circle. And I'm basically just going to make circles out of everything forever and ever and ever. Figuring out where I can put this half face thing. Still not liking that page. It's still coming apart. I don't know how to fix that. Maybe pink. That makes it a little bit better. And so I use a stapler to stick that down. And there's that tree tissue paper, which I just think is so pretty. And I wish I could tell you the place that I got it from, but I can't remember. But I'm going to stick that down upside down so that it is a little bit more muted. I didn't really like that picture anyway, so this is good. And as I am putting all of this together, I'm just like processing my feelings about, you know, not having that quiet time in my head anymore. And my head is always worrying and always thinking about babies. One baby. And I'm punching a little bit out to add a little bit more texture into this. I know Amy Miracle is really, really amazing with circles and with it adding dimension. I should actually try and do what she does. She's amazing. You should check out. I'll put her links into the show notes. The show notes podcast talk. I'll put her links into the description below. And I don't like these because they're quite harsh with the black clothing. So I am just going to stick them together. And that's got an added bonus because it thickens the pages and it makes it stronger and more resilient against wet medium. Not that I use a lot of wet medium, but it's good anyway. I'm still trying to see if I can put that typewriter guy somewhere. Going through this again, seeing what I feel drawn to, what I want to work on. And I really like this picture. I quite like how this picture has a kind of like definite point where it stops and it has all the white space. And I'm seeing how nicely it goes with that background where it also has a stop. I'm going to see if this pink fits in somewhere, but I don't think so. I think it just breaks up where, that whole nice lining up of it. Maybe if I add some gold to this pink, it'll look pretty. Maybe if I actually push this properly instead of doing a half-assed job. And I am milking this thing for all it's worth. V, this is such a beautiful piece of paper that you sent me. Even if it does get stuck in my punch. Yeah, I think that looks quite nice. Without the pink and without the doilies. And with the horizon kind of, meeting that green line. We can add in a little pink. Still don't like that page. Let's work on this one. Got this tissue paper off of Amazon. And I am absolutely butchering trying to tear it off in a way that makes it look as though I didn't put any thought into it, but with a lot of thought. I think the circles are making that part difficult. What do I want to say? Solitude. And some more lovely circles. And the nice thing about these circles is that you can bring in elements from the rest of the journal without too much effort, Like it's not a complete obvious thing that is from the rest of the journal, that little piece of, I don't know what is, mountains. And it's time for some journaling. I'm writing about my feelings, about solitude, and about being alone. And I'm taking that flower off because apparently I don't like it there. Going through it again. I do not like it there. Nope. It's difficult to be objective when you're making something, but there are ways that can make being objective a bit easier. One of them is to, blur your eyes a little bit so then you can see, oh, something needs to go here. Another way is to flip through the journal quickly to see if it all flows. Another really great way to do that is to take a photo because, if you're not looking at it straight in front of you, it's much easier to be objective. And there I got to use my pink rectangle. And I feel like I definitely need more doily circles in my life. And now that I've annihilated that doily, let's see if I can put this one here. Yep. And I'm going to bring in some more gold, but this form with a line. And I feel like all of my journals are incomplete if they don't have some form of lace hanging off the side. So I'm going to add this one here. And that gives a nice little touch. I quite like my peachy lace. So I'm going to add that one to it too. I'm going to put it behind this one. And I'm just going to staple this because I'm lazy. And I did not know this whole thing was a thing until I started watching YouTube videos, but I quite like that little like tab thing with the lace. And for this, I'm going to bring in this gorgeous gold watercolor, and this is also from Vanessa. I think she sent it in the same package actually. I'm going to put it over there, and it's quite nice because the cover page and the back page are a little bit thicker than the rest, and they've got a really interesting texture, and so the watercolor actually, you know, it held it quite well. And I'm going to do some gold splats, yes please. And these are not very conducive to a journal in one sitting, you know, because they need a lot of drying time. But I'm kind of running out of what to do, and the baby's getting a little bit fussy. So I'm going to do this and then let it dry, look after the baby, and then I can come back to it. And I swear, these Heidi Swap color shines, they just never get clean. And it's dry. I had to wait forever, but luckily you just had to wait a second. Started writing something, didn't like it there. I'm gonna try it as the title. And I am figuring out what exactly to title this journal. And I'm titling it An Ode to Less, which you know by the title of this video. And I really like this typeface of this company. It's all like working together quite well. I'm quite happy with everything that they put in this. Still not liking their page. I still don't like their page. I don't know what to do. And I'm going through to see if anything feels incomplete to me. And I'm doing a bit of journaling here. And I'm writing about how everything is just like chaotic in my mind, and it's so loud. And as I'm writing, and this is the beauty of art journaling, as I'm writing it, I'm writing about how busy my mind is and how crazy it is with now that I've got my son to think about and all of that, and how I miss having nothing to think about, and all I had to think about was what I was doing. And as I'm writing it, I realize that when I think about my little boy, everything just goes completely quiet. And yeah, that's the beauty of art journaling, is you start off all frustrated with your thoughts, and you start out with like crazy things, and then in the end you work to a resolution, and you realize, you know what, like, no, things are not actually noisy in my head. When I think about him, everything quietens, nothing else matters. Which is like ridiculous, I know. But yeah. E. My little E. And I can see that page needs a little bit extra, so I'm going to add some journaling to that pink. And that's such an optimistic thing compared to how it started. And I write balance over there, and it makes a mess, and it's okay. I'm okay with it. I would prefer not to have, but it's okay. And I've turned this little thing into something symbolic with a question mark. And I'm putting everything over nothing there, you know, and I'm excited. So this started off seriously, like, you know, busy head, everything going on, and it ended really optimistically, which I did not expect. And let's go through this again. And while I don't think any of these are really great by themselves, but altogether I think it's I like it. Very therapeutic for me. And some splatters, because nothing is done without splatters. Thank you for being a part of this with me. I really encourage you to sit down and try and finish an art journal in one go. If that seems really intimidating to you, then what you should do is just make less pages, you know. Tear pages out, bind your own one, use a catalogue, use whatever you've got. You can make a zine. Zines have like barely any pages, and just put it all together and get it all consistent. Use the same tools, all of that. And let the art journal be a little bit therapeutic for you, and let it work some thoughts out. Don't put a lot of pressure on yourself to think certain things or to write magnificent things. You know, if you write rubbish, you can just paint over it and write over it again until you've worked out your feelings and worked out what you needed to say. Thank you for watching. Have a great day.